I'm a therapist, and we're going to talk about the fact that you cannot fully heal without corrective experiences. Let's talk about it. Your nervous system is always going to choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven, and your brain is kind of lazy. So when it comes to data and when it comes to assessing safety, it's always going to choose what it knows over doing something that might be good for you but is unfamiliar to you. This means, in the most simple terms, our brain is always assessing, do we have data to support this situation, this behavior, this environment, this relationship, or do we not have data? It is always going to lean towards having data than not having data. That is why change is so debilitating to the brain. It's why it's so scary, because we haven't done it before. We don't have the data that makes the brain feel safe enough to walk towards it. This is why corrective experiences is so crucial in healing, because we have to be inputting corrective data to the brain. The brain needs data to know that it's safe, to know that this is something that we want to familiarize ourselves with. The way that we create a familiar heaven, we do this by creating familiar data in a corrective sense, a data that compromises or challenges the initial data that we were used to dealing with. If you are used to engaging in toxic relationships, if you're used to talking to people who you know are emotionally avoidant because you have a fear of intimacy, and let's say you have officially learned to cut off and say no to anyone who doesn't serve what you need in a relationship, that is one part of the piece of healing. That is one part, is letting go of the ways that no longer serve you and your goals. But there's a very crucial second part, and that is introducing environments and situations, relationships and interactions that provide corrective data that challenges what you were used to dealing with. You are going to have to date people. You are going to have to go out and put yourself out there. You're going to have to risk fear and rejection to get closer to intimacy and emotional openness. And this is why the second half of healing is so hard. This is why it's so scary, because you are choosing, by choice, you are choosing to walk towards something that is deeply unfamiliar, that the brain will deeply resist, right? Anxiety will fire off, fear will peak, and you do it anyways, and you do it repeatedly until you create a familiar heaven, until your brain realizes this is no longer unfamiliar territory. And once we start to get into that part of healing, you genuinely get to rewire what you will receive in your future. And it is so exciting, but it is so scary. It is the dialectic of change. So for anyone who's navigating it, for anyone who's in the first part, the second part, maybe has insight to completed parts of the work, it's not easy, but it is deeply rewarding.